Welcome back to the Worldview Minute. I'm Pastor Levi Secord. We've been unpacking our modern obsession with trying to find out who I am. Who am I? It's the question that occupies a million pop songs and TV shows and whatnot. This idea that if you want to find your truest self, you have to look within. And by every measure, we're not doing very well at finding who we are. This is the paradox of our time. We know that man is something, and yet all of our presuppositions, all of our foundational beliefs undermine that man is anything. Man is left as a zero. He's just a happy accident or unhappy accident of the universe. There's no meaning or purpose beyond what you create for yourself. And the dirty little secret is that if all meaning is created by you, then all meaning dies with you, which is just another way of saying you don't have any meaning. And so what is man? Is he more than a zero? And how do we know man is more than a zero? And we start with this fundamental reality that man is an insufficient reference point for himself. That the reason why we can't find out who we are is because we're trying to define ourselves with ourselves. And that is a hopeless tactic. We are too small of a reference point for that kind of thing. To put it another way, man was never designed to be the determiner of what is true, what is beautiful, what is good, what is right, what is wrong, and who we are. That identity, those meanings, those truths come to us from outside of ourselves, from our Creator. So, we're going to have for today's episode, we're going to unpack 11 truths about who we are. 11 truths that are true about every single person, every human who has ever lived. Everyone is made in the image of God. The very first page of the Bible in Genesis 1, we read that God created them, male and female. In his own image, he made them, that we are made to be like God. Where does your meaning come from? Not by looking within and measuring yourself with yourself, but that you are made in the image of the perfect, immutable, all holy, all powerful, all knowing God. You are not God, but you are like him. You are fundamentally different. You are not a zero. You are fundamentally different from everything else in creation because humanity alone bears the image and the likeness of its creator. That is the foundation of human identity. Who are you? You are human, made in the image of God. That gives you worth, it gives you value, it gives you meaning by a standard outside yourself. You can't create that. Then, contrary to what your mom has told you, what your kindergarten teacher has told you, you are not that special. You are not that special within yourself. You are not that special by the standards of within, right? But you do have meaning and value because of what is outside of you, that you are made like God. By that standard, every human has equal worth, equal value. So truth number one. You are made in the image of God, therefore you have worth and you have value. Truth number two flows from that every person then is a creature instead of the creator. All right, so you don't have to create who you are. God has created you. You don't have to create meaning. God has created and assigned that. You don't have to define things for yourself. God has offered us definition. You don't need to be the foundation of truth. God is the foundation of truth. You don't need to be the foundation of your identity. God is that. You are a creature. You have been made. You are a dependent creature, not the creator. Now, you are like God. You rule in his stead on earth. That is part of what it means to be an image bearer. You're a relational being. You do things like God does that are different than everything else, but you are still a creature. You are finite. You are limited. You are dependent. Be free from trying to replace God with a small you. You are not that thing. You are not God. You are the creation instead of the creator, the creature instead of the creator, a human instead of God. Our modern ideology wants us to think that we can make all of these things, that we can replace God with ourselves, but we simply can't. 3, also humans in this age, with the exception of Christ, are all fallen. We're all sinful. We're all sinners. So Christianity holds this unique truth together, that man is valuable. He's not a zero because he's made in the image of God. But also we can't place all of our trust in man because he's also sinful. He's fallen. That in Adam, all of us fell into sin. That we inherit a sinful nature and then we also freely choose. As that nature is bound by sin, we all choose sin. And so man cannot be a reference point unto himself because we get things wrong. We distort things. We lie. We cheat. We steal. We kill. We are fallen. Man is in need of salvation. Man cannot save himself because he himself is part of the problem. And really, the heart of the problem is man. So man, though valuable, made in God's image, is also fallen and sinful and not to be trusted. 4th, God has made all humans with a body and a soul. Now, these two things are not meant to be separated, but we can talk about them as distinct parts of what it means to be a human. God has created man physical. He breathed life into man, and man has a body, and that body is worthwhile and declared as good. Our bodies are not something to be sloughed off or escaped or abused, but they are good. But naturalism can affirm, right, that man is a body. And in fact, naturalism, Darwinism, and many of its offshoots reduces man to only a body. Christians then sometimes want to make the body the problem, but the body isn't the problem. God created the body. The body is good. But man is also more than just what can be seen. He is also a soul. If man is only the physical, then he has no mind. He has no soul. He has no will. He's reduced to the chemicals in his head, the conditioning that has been placed upon him by society. There is no mind. There's a brain. There is just the instinctual reactions that we do, and we do not really choose. But our Christianity tells us that man has a body, and it is good, and he also has a soul, a will. He makes choices. He is a moral agent. He knows the difference between right and wrong, even though he often chooses wrong. And the Bible tells us that the body and the soul are meant to be together, that the wages of sin is death. And what happens at death is the soul is ripped from the body, and the body decays. But that the good news of the gospel is not that your soul escapes your body and goes into some non-physical heaven forever. That's the intermediate state. You go to be with the Lord. Paul describes this ripping out of the soul from the body as being naked. It's an unnatural state. But then, at the resurrection of the dead, when Jesus Christ returns, the body and the soul are then reunited for all eternity. That God has designed man to be this union between body and soul, and we will be that in eternity in Christ, in either everlasting life or everlasting death. That all the dead, the righteous and the wicked, are raised from the dead, body and soul reunited for the final judgment. So part of what it means to be man is to be body and soul together. God has also made us, our fifth truth, God has also made us male or female. That men and women are equal. It says again, Genesis 1:27, in his own image he created them, male and female, he made them. To be a man is to be made in the image of God. To be a woman is to be made in the image of God. But you are created as either male or female. Yes, in a fallen and a broken world, there are birth defects, but that does not get rid of the rule. I can say, for example, that man is born with 10 fingers and 10 toes. Yes, some individuals are born with 12. Some individuals are born with less than 10. I can say that humans have 2 arms and 2 legs. Yes, some people lose them throughout the course of their life. Some people are born with birth defects, but that does not negate the rule. In the same way, there are birth defects in this world when it comes to male or female, but the design remains the same. You are created either as a male or a female. This is not something forced upon you by doctors or your parents or society. It is assigned by God. It is written into your genetic code. You are male or female. You are free from having to decide what gender you are. You are free from having others tell you that you need to figure that out. God has done that for you, and you are to receive your maleness or your femaleness as a good thing, inherent to who you are as male or female. And you are to live out your maleness or your femaleness in holiness and obedience to God, and grateful to him for what he has given you. Sixth, because all men and women are created in the image of God, we all have inherent rights, or as our founding fathers said, you are created with certain unalienable rights. That if God does not exist, then rights are come from man to man, which means man can take them, which means you don't have rights, you have privileges. Most recently, the governor of New Mexico, she said that there are no absolute rights, so I can take your rights from you. Why? Because she ultimately believes that rights come from the state. And if they do, then the state can take your rights. They can take your life. They can take your property. But something that is unique in Western history is this idea that rights came from God to us, and that even the state cannot just take them from you. You can forfeit them by committing a crime. If you murder someone, you can have your life taken. But you have certain unalienable rights, that these are given to you by God, an authority higher than the state. Human rights rest upon this belief that God exists and that he created us in his image. Seventh, humans are created to be in a relationship with God. That inherent to what it means to be a human is to be a relational being. God is created as 3 persons in one God. God exists, not created. God exists as 3 persons in one God. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, who exist in perfect communion for all eternity. Man in God's image is a communal being, and the first relationship we are meant to have is with God. The first great commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. God created man in the garden, and he walked with man. that you are meant and you will have a hole in your life and in your heart and in your soul until you enter into a right relationship with your Creator. You will not rightly ever know yourself until you see yourself rightly before your Creator. Studies have been done. Children are born with an inherent belief that God exists. This is His universe. We live in it. Part of what it means to be human is to be in a relationship with God, and you are. You're either in a good one with Him or you're in a rebellious one with Him. Eighth, humans are also made to be in relationship with one another. God looks at Adam and He sees that his relationship with Adam is in some sense not enough. He says it's not good that Adam should be alone, so He creates Eve for him. Humans, again, in the image of God, are meant to be in relationship with God and with others. Love God, love others. We are not meant to be an island unto ourselves. In fact, one of the worst punishments man can give to his fellow man is solitary confinement. It can literally drive you nuts to live by yourself and to live in isolation. We like to pride this idea of the independent person. There's a sense in which being independent is good. Can you support yourself? Can you take care of yourself? But no man or woman is ever fully independent. And to try to be is to become subhuman. You are meant to be in relationship with God and with others. Ninth, man is a moral creature, not a therapeutic one. Right? What do I mean by that? Well, in today's age, we are in a psychological age. We primarily view man in psychological or therapeutic terms. That what is good is what makes me feel good. What is bad is what makes me feel bad. That all of life is wrapped up in feeling good or safe. It's all about being psychologically well. But the Bible paints a completely different picture of who you and I are. We are first and foremost moral creatures. We have a will. We make choices. And we are not charged with choosing what makes us feel good in the moment, but we are charged with choosing the good, that which is good, and to turn away from that which is evil, even in the short term if that feels bad. The Bible paints a picture of man, not that feelings are wholly unimportant, but that our primary capacity in choosing and living is that as a moral creature, choosing right or wrong, not as a therapeutic creature looking to feel good instead of feeling bad. 10th, humans are irreducibly creatures of worship. We worship things. There's something in this life you love. There's something in this life you get really excited about. You have a favorite artist or a favorite musician or movie or sports team or athlete or a car or something. And when you see it, your heart fills with praise and you, in a sense, worship it. You exalt it. You tell other people you're so excited about this thing because we are designed to long for beauty. We are designed to long for goodness. We are designed to praise and worship these things. And we often replace God with the creation. Instead, the creation and the goodness of it, we are supposed to direct our praise then to God as He showers that upon us. But man is irreducibly a creature of worship. There are things we long for. There are things we want, whether they be people or sex or different appetites we have, that we worship something. There's something that your heart longs for and sings over. And that is because you are a human made to worship. And the one thing you are meant to worship above all else is God Himself. 11th and finally, your feelings do not determine what is true, but rather, truth is to determine your feelings. We find this all throughout the Bible. Our feelings do not determine what is good, what is beautiful, what is right, and what is true. Rather, our feelings are to conform to those things. We don't conform reality to ourselves. We are to conform ourselves to reality, our thinking, our choosing, our feeling. We have examples, again, of this in the Bible everywhere. Right? In Psalm 42, verse 11. We read, the psalmist says, "Why are you cast down, O my soul?" He's feeling depressed. He's feeling like he should give up. He rebukes his feelings. Right? He doesn't give in to him and say, well, my feelings determine what is true. He rebukes his feelings and he says, hope in God. God is your salvation. Feelings you need to change. You need to change in line with what is true. Romans 12, 1 through 2 tells us to renew our minds, renew our thinking, to offer our lives as a living sacrifice in light of the truth. Or as Ben Shapiro puts it, facts don't care about your feelings, but your feelings should care about facts. We are not the creator. We are the creation. And so our thinking, our reasoning, our feeling, and our living is to conform with the truth that is there. This is the foundational aspects of the human identity, true of every human. In our next episode, we're going to unpack then what is unique to Christians. What is our Christian identity? How does the gospel renew, transform, and change our identifiers in this fallen age as those who have repented and believed in Christ? So I encourage you to continue on in this journey with us as we search for our true self. Comment, like, and share this video with others.